गोपी वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरा वनजारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 राम निताय गौर हरि गो गौर हरि बो जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र स्वामी श्री प्रभुपाद की जय अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासुदेव गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय वृंदावन धाम की जय नवदीप धाम की जय जगन्नाथपुरी की जय गंगामयी जमुनामयी की जय भक्ति देवी तुलसी देवी की जय कलिक पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय गौर प्रेमानंदे समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय समवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय श्री गुरु और गौरांग की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम् Vandeham Sri Guruho Sri Jutapad Sri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. So we were discussing about 3 lamentations, one of Dhritarashtra, second of Duryodhana, third of Arjuna, and how Dhritarashtra would only look for sympathy rather than solutions. And Duryodhana would look for facilities, where he would threaten people, and then whenever his father would offer him something, he would be pacified. And Arjuna, on the other hand, was very honest. He wanted not temptations, not sympathy, but actually solutions. So we'll just see Dhritarashtra, how he actually, sometimes we have a belief system. We believe in something, and that happens repeatedly. And our conviction increases on that. Even though the warning is given in the Bhagavatam 10th canto, after the death of Kamsa, Krishna sent a letter through Akrura to Dhritarashtra. And the essence of the letter was, basically Krishna indicated, you know what, if you act meanly with the Pandavas, your situation also will be like Kamsa's situation only. So therefore treat them nicely. So if you read, what was the answer of Dhritarashtra? Dhritarashtra said, everything is happening by the will of God. Nothing is moving without the will of God. So he brings the Vedantic concept, but to justify his inaction. Now one can speak Shastra, but what is he doing with the Shastra? Therefore, somebody said, Shastra is like a cow. Instead of milking, if you milk blood, that is a danger. You can milk cow, or you can actually bleed the cow. It is possible, because milk is nothing but transformation of blood only, in one sense. So therefore, here Dhritarashtra was very expert in bringing Daiva when it was his responsibility to take action. When actually Daiva had told him that your son will not be the king, then he would bring endeavor. He would put efforts. Right. And it all began with long back. When Duryodhana was born, basically the astrologers, the omen and intelligent people realized that this son of Dhritarashtra is going to cause a lot of destruction. So Vidura gave a very harsh suggestion to him. What was the suggestion? He said, look, if you keep Duryodhana with you, he will be responsible for the death of thousands of people. He gave a different mathematics. He said 99 plus 1, basically in maths. 99 plus 1 is equal to 0. 99 son plus 1 Duryodhana is going to destroy everybody. 100 minus 1 will not only 99 son will survive, but the entire Kurukula will survive. They said drop him, discard him, reject him. Now people ask this question, how can Vidura be so harsh to tell a father to discard his son? But the problem is Dhritarashtra was not only a father, he was a king. Basically he was a brother of a king. Very responsible position. For a responsible personality who is ruling the kingdom, who is part of the society, then the family relationship becomes secondary. But it is not that family relationship is always secondary. But for such people, for help others make family as a priority, some people have to make family a second priority. Very interesting point. So therefore, king, it is said, a king cannot become conscious of his family over his real family, his praja. There is a true story in Vijayanagar kingdom. No, there was this outskirts of Vijayanagar kingdom. There was this very nice girl, trained very nicely, very beautiful, very cultured, very educated. And her teacher decided that, she is suitable for our king. So he came with the proposal to the king without asking the parents. He came and told, this girl is there, she is very beautiful, why don't you marry her? And he explained to the king about her beauty, her qualities, her traits, her character. The king was fascinated. He said, why not? So the Brahmana became very happy. He came to the parent. He told, your daughter will be the queen. It will be so nice. The parents are also happy. Yes, our daughter will get to marry a king. So they told their daughter that, you'll be getting married to a king. She said, no, I don't want. She said, marrying a king means losing all private life. I will be a queen, but I will stop being your daughter. I can't come anytime and every time. I will not have that facility. It will be very official. He said, it is great to be queen, but I am very private. I love my family. I love my brother, sister. He said, I don't want to be queen at the cost of a daughter. So the parents were shocked to hear this. The Brahmana was shocked to hear this. And then they went and told the king. The Brahman went and told. The king became more fascinated. Hey, who is this girl? So intelligent. He became desperate to marry her. Right. And then he came with a small army, but unfortunately that was a kingdom of some other king. It's a very tragic story. And there was a small war, tried to capture this girl. But then the neighboring king, the king of Bijapur, Adil Shah, they got to know, and there was a massive war between the two. He never took responsibility care of that. That if I go for this girl, I am waging a war against other kingdom because her house was not in his kingdom. It was like crossing LOC, no? It was like that. So therefore, it's very interesting. So Dhritarashtra was told by Vidura when Duryodhana was born, he said, your father, no doubt. But a higher priority is that, you have this responsibility of being a brother of a king. So discard him. Because if you discard him, how much damage can you do? As a king's son, the damage is much greater. But as a son of an ordinary person, how much damage can you do? So Dhritarashtra did not accept it. And there was no precedent for Kurukul. In fact, the Mahabharata, the original, when the television created, the entire country would halt in India. I remember we had to stop the Bhagavatam class also. Sometime Radhanand Maharaj would say, now it is time for Mahabharata, so I should stop my Bhagavatam. Because people have to go and watch, everybody is to go and watch. So the Mahabharata begins with this story of Bharat, the ancestor of the Pandavas, had this dilemma. Actually, Mahabharata is all about dilemmas only. Therefore, Chanakya Pandit says, every morning one should begin his day by reading Mahabharata. Why? Because Mahabharata, he says, gambling. Prata Dyuta Prasangena. Dyuta means what? Dyuta means actually, it's all about taking decisions. Not gambling means actually gambling. Gambling is there. But what decision? Should I take this decision? And I don't know what will be the consequence. If I take this decision, I don't know what will be the consequence. But I need to make a decision. So any decision you make, there is a consequences. Any decision you don't make, that is also decision. Right? So therefore somebody defined Mahabharata is life and life is Mahabharata. So everybody has their Mahabharata. Prabhupada writes in one purport. So therefore, there was a precedent. What was the precedent? Bharat, the great son of Dushyanta and Shakuntala, when he became old, his 9 sons became useless. They became asara. Not only useless, they became brutal. So he asked his guru, he said, what can I do now? I cannot appoint one of the son. If I appoint one of the son, the 8 will have cop. And even one of them is appointed as the king. I don't know if they will take good care of my citizens. So I have my own praja, my biological praja, and I have got my psychological praja. Praja is citizens. If I protect my sons, I will be responsible death of the praja. If I worry about the praja, I will be responsible for the death of my children. You say, what should I do? The guru said, you have to take a decision. I have taught you everything. I don't make me a Google. So, a guru trains us to be responsible. Otherwise, sometime for every small thing we run, hoping that he will take responsibility of our life. Oh, you told me, therefore I did like this. Many times people do complain. Rather than taking responsibility, they want somebody else to take responsibility. I remember I was attending one educational conference, and one teacher who was teaching, he said, you know what? He said the greatest thing is in this world is that people don't want independence. Because independence you have to think. For being independent you have to think. People don't want to think. Therefore they want someone to control their life. And you take care of my life. I will not take care of my life. And if they start taking care of their life, he said, why are you doing like this to me? So therefore his guru said, you have to choose what is good. You have been trained. So Bharat, after discussing with his family and others, he realized, and Bhagavatam explains this in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam. If you read, in the dynasty of before Krishna Lila begins, Kurukul. So what he did? He actually renounced those 9 sons. Not only renounced, he actually killed them. That is a dilemma for a king. For a businessman, it is a dilemma of losing money. For a farmer, sometime it happens. Like I was talking to a few farmers in South, just last month. He said they planted something, it came little bit and the rain stopped. Now the point is, to actually harvest that crop, they have to spend more money on the laborer. And if you just burn, you'll anyway lose money, but you'll save some money. So the choice between harvesting it and losing, and burning it and losing. You don't have the choice of not losing. Either you lose 1 lakh rupees or you lose 60,000 rupees. But loss is reality. But still you have to think, will I harvest it? Maybe I'll make some money. But maybe if I don't make money, so better burn it. Just see what kind of dilemmas people have. So here the dilemma was, my sons or my kingdom, my praja. So there was a precedent for Dhritarashtra, but he chose not to follow. Why? Because he gave priority to Mamaka Pandavaschaiva. That is how Bhagavad Gita begins. My sons and the sons of the Pandu. He couldn't see beyond his children, therefore his vision was very small and very insignificant. And therefore such a personality is blind physically, but is also blind psychologically. Therefore he cannot be made as the king. Not possible to make a king. But unfortunately he became a king. And that's what the destruction came about. So now the war is over. Dhritarashtra did not learn his lesson. All his sons are dead. And he's lamenting. Naturally, all of your sons are dead, you are lamenting. He's weeping, he's lamenting, and then Sanjay comes to him. Now there are 3 people, they deal differently with the lamentation of Dhritarashtra. Sanjay comes. Sanjay is a secretary. And secretaries are trained in those times not to be sycophant. That secretaries were trained to be critically analytical. They were not yes men. If a secretary is yes man, then king is doomed. Whether it is Sumantara in Ramayana, he had the courage and power to chastise Kaikeyi in her palace in the presence of Vasishtha and Dasharath Maharaj, and you didn't find Sumantara's body lying in some gutter. That was real freedom of independence, freedom of choice. People talk about freedom of choice nowadays. You see in the political world also. It's all controlled. You see in the media also. People say that we are speaking the truth. They speak more articulate in this world now, but not necessarily dharmic. So that was the facility given. In fact, in the Gurukul system, when the student come to the teacher, one of the first mantra the Guru recites to the student is that I will only teach you Dharma. And if I speak anything other than Dharma, you reject me. And therefore the teacher has to teach a student a skill of critically analyzing first. So that, do I follow a person or do I follow the principle? Is it Vyakti Kendrit or it is Dharma Kendrit? Very interesting concept. So in the beginning only teaches, if I am teaching wrong, you can correct me. There are so many stories. Right, so then Dhritarashtra, Sanjay came to him. Everybody is dead, is lamenting. So Sanjay, he is sober, but the words are very assertive. He tells to his master, he said, my dear master, he said, all of your sons are dead. Who is responsible? Who is responsible for this? He said, now you are crying and lamenting. He said, it's just like building a bridge when the water is already passed. When the house is burning, if you try to fetch a well, it's not going to save. He said, lamentation does not kill lamentation. Very interesting. He said, lamentation does not kill lamentation. Crying for your pain is not going to save you. He said, stop crying. That is the first solution. You stop crying. He said, you are responsible for whatever has happened to you. Now Dhritarashtra could not handle. It was very painful. Now very interesting concept in the Gita. Law of karma is not spoken to make us criminal. Law of karma is spoken to make us responsible. Because unless I take responsibility of my life, unless I take responsibility of what I am going through, I cannot overcome what's happening with my life. A very interesting concept. If you repeatedly read in the Mahabharata, Ramayana, through the verses of Gita and Bhagavatam, it's all about why we talk about law of karma. Law of karma empowers you to take responsibility. So Sanjay was very, very, not harsh. He spoke these words. Dhritarashtra heard it. He was lamenting, continued to lament. Then Vidura comes. After some time Vidura comes. Vidura is more philosophical. He speaks what Sanjay spoke, but in a subtle way, not in such a gross way. And he said, you know what my brother is? He said, life is designed like this. It's a land of duality. For victory, sometimes there is victory, sometimes there is defeat. Sometimes there is life, sometimes there is death. He said, with life comes death, and with death comes life. It's a circle. It is not that time factor only destroys. Time factor also constructs. Time factor is not only the destroyed. Time factor also heals. Time is the greatest healer, we say like that. But time is also greatest destroyer. Because it has a double side. So explain from the whole world's perspective how the world functions. It is made of sukha, dukkha, jaya and vijaya, apajaya, death and disease, life and death. He told all that. And he explained the story of that man who was stuck in the forest and he was running and then suddenly fell in a well. Right? He grabbed a creeper and from below there were python trying to gulp him, and above there was a tiger looking for him. Right? And then when he was holding that creeper, he saw one black rat and white rat actually eating up the creeper. And then when he fell into that well, there was all these honeybees. Because they were shaken, all the honeybees started attacking him. So there was a python which was time factor. Right. And all the honeybees were like hundreds of miseries. And the black rat and white rat is compared to day and night. This is Vidura speaking to him. Right. And then well is said it's like a material life. And in that material life also, when he was stuck in that situation, because the honeycomb was disturbed, the honey started trickling into his mouth. Tup, tup. And he opened his mouth. and he was waiting. Wow, after 30 seconds, at least I get one drop of honey. He said, this is what life is. There is honey, no doubt. There is happiness in this world. It is not that happiness is not there, but happiness is there with this distress also. He said, it's life, it's okay. Be pacified. He said, transcend duality. You cannot avoid duality, transcend duality. Dhritarashtra fell unconscious. The philosophy became too much for him. Many times people say, they said, don't tell all this to me, give me justice. So people don't like to hear philosophy. So Dhritarashtra heard, cried, lamented, fell unconscious. After some time Vyasdevji comes. Now what Vyasdevji does, Vyasdev is the father of Dhritarashtra. Vidura is a brother. Nice but realistic. Sanjay is the secretary. Realistic, not necessarily nice. So when Vyasdev comes, because his father is kind, compassionate, sometime Guru, father, they see what will work now to pacify them. Not necessarily they might give solution immediately, knowing very well that this man is not fit to take solution. So what Vyasdev did was very interesting. Vyasdev told, my dear Dhritarashtra, you know what? Actually this is all predestined. He said, Duryodhana is a personification of Kali. One time in the heavenly planet, there was a discussion going on that in the earthly planet, too many people are there, causing too much of trouble, and we have to stop. Then the Devata said, no, we are sending Kali personified. Duryodhana is going to come down there and is going to be responsible for the lot of troubles. So therefore, Dhritarashtra, do not cry, you are not responsible for this. Neither your son is responsible directly, because after all, what can he do? He is a Kali personified. This was supposed to happen. And immediately all the lamentation of Dhritarashtra is stopped. But the problem is there was no change. There was no change. Vyasdev pacified Dhritarashtra, but after pacification, Dhritarashtra did not take responsibility of growing. Rather, he felt, oh, I am not responsible. Right, I am not responsible for whatever happened with the Pandavas. It was all predestined. So he used that philosophy to justify his inaction. And not only in action, he continued to sit on the throne of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Even after Yudhishthira Maharaj became king, for 18 years he sat on the throne. Shamelessly allowed people to call him as Maharaj, even though he was not a Maharaj. Yudhishthira Maharaj was so courteous, he didn't want his uncle to feel any pain. He said, therefore he went out of his way to make him sit. And only Bhima would come and say, one time it is explained that Yudhishthira Maharaj, Dhritarashtra told, I want to perform big ceremony for my departed children. मैं राजा हूँ ना, I am a king, so therefore it has to be done royally. So when the news came to Bhima, he said, एक पैसा नहीं देने का. He said, don't give 1 penny also. He doesn't deserve that. Because Bhima, he couldn't handle, he was in that such a pain that this man was sitting and watching Draupadi being disrobed. And not only that, when he wanted to embrace Bhima and kill him, so how can Bhima forgive him? There has to be someone who does not forgive. If everybody forgives, everybody forgets also. And the person repeats the action. So he told, you cannot give money, he's a criminal. It's a Raj Kosh, it's a money belonging to the kingdom. You cannot give him the money for performing this ceremony. So Yudhishthira Maharaj gave from his personal account. He said, it's my money, I can give it to him. So he organized the ceremony for his uncle. So that was Yudhishthira Maharaj. And as far as I understand, because Yudhishthira Maharaj was so soft, therefore Bhima was little harsh. Otherwise, he has to get the experience of duality. So then, for 18 years he survived like that, without change of the heart. So the point what we are discussing here, sympathy does not empower us. Sympathy keeps us where we are. Sympathy keeps us conditioned. Sympathy does not help us to grow. So therefore, the Shastras explain there has to be discipline. But what kind of discipline? Discipline flavored with grace. I think when Prabhupada or one of his godbrothers said that, Shakespeare said, justice flavored with mercy. If there is justice and no mercy, nowadays we see laws are there, but justice is not there. There is a difference between law and a justice. Okay, you can make laws, but usually laws are used by people with wrong intentions. A cultured, the person who is not cultured, when he uses law, that creates lawlessness. So people are not looking for laws, they are looking for justice. So therefore, Dhritarashtra, he heard the philosophy, Vyasa pacified him, but there was no transformation. So then Vidura was the one who was very compassionate. After many years, he kept on coming. And eventually in the Bhagavatam 3rd canto explains, now I need to give what Sanjay gave. What did Sanjay give? Sanjay only told the facts of life. This is what, and therefore this happened. So now Vidura, Vidura was Dhritarashtra's greatest hope. He kept on coming back to him, kept on coming back to him, kept on coming back to him, because he was a brother. And what a language he used. He had to shake him. And after how many years? He didn't begin with that language. It's not that 3rd canto Bhagavad begins in the first meeting with some devotees. In fact, somebody was saying that to give instruction also there has to be relationship. If there is no relationship, you cannot give instructions. It is better to not break relationship rather than giving instruction. Sometimes people give instruction when it is not called for. They have no relationships and they speak as if truth will help them. Truth does not help, but truth flavored with that atmiyata. I remember talking to one very nice man of wisdom in one village. He said, I'll first say in Hindi, he said, आजकल समाज में व्यवहार के लिए आत्मीयता होती है. That means in the present world, for the sake of transaction, people have affection. Very interesting. For the sake of transaction, there is affection, which is very deceptive. But he said in real culture, he said, हर व्यवहार में आत्मीयता हुआ करती थी. व्यवहार के लिए आत्मीयता नहीं. ना प्लीज. व्यवहार में आत्मीयता हुआ करती थी, परंतु व्यवहार के लिए आत्मीयता नहीं. That means there was affection in every transaction. Not because of transaction there was affection. I hope you are getting it. So therefore every relationship, was a vyavhar, but there was unlimited, happiness. Like another very nice person, they were saying, therefore the whole concept of, black and white was not existing. 100 gram. When a milkman would come to your house, along with 1 liter, he would give 20 grams extra, or he would give 100 grams less. Either way, depending on what is his culture. If you go to a vegetable man or a vegetable woman, with everything, 1 extra thing would come to your bag. It would always happen like that. So therefore, we see here, Vidura, how many years it took time in speaking what he spoke to Dhritarashtra? Because there was a lifetime investment in relationship. People read Bhagavatam, no doubt. They read Gita. But the instruction which Krishna gives in 1866, if we begin with that to somebody, it is not digestible. Therefore, when Prabhupada would chastise somebody, call someone something, what was it? It was an investment of unlimited mercy. He told many times devotees, he said a young child and an old man can go anywhere and speak anything and get away with it. Right? A old man can say anything, go anywhere, and child can walk anywhere, say anything, and go away. They can come and tell. Many times children come and tell, "Arey Prabhuji, lecture bahut boring tha." Huh? They can say like that. Why? Because they are honest. I ask sometimes children, how do you like chanting? They say very boring. Now, is it not truth? For most people, chanting is boring. But because we have taken a vow of chanting 16 rounds, even though it is boring, we chant, knowing very well that eventually it will become beautiful, nectarian, tasteful nectar. But to say that I am tasting the holy name is not being childlike. We are politically correct. But the children are not politically correct. And therefore they are very honest. So Prabhupada said that. He said, an old man and a child can speak anything, go anywhere and get away with it. But when we start imitating, what do? We do not give the truth. Rather, we break the relationship. I remember one devotee said, in the name of giving truth to people, people stay away from the absolute truth. A relative truth is relative truth. It has a minimal value. But because of that relative truth, people are staying away from the absolute truth. What did you gain? What did you gain? So just imagine how many years. It is not that Vidura could have not spoken this many years back. It is not that the relationship was not there. He knew the medicine will not work. And the medicine worked for Dhritarashtra. Spoke that verses, harsh language. He said, you are like a dog. Now, can you imagine? You are like a dog being fed by Bhima's leftover. He is throwing food to you. And you are shamelessly eating. That you are shamelessly eating like that. Do you not experience that death is coming so close to you? Your teeth have fallen down. You are not able to breathe properly. You are coughing. Your words are stuck in the mouth, in your throat. He said, get lost of this place. Immediately come out of this place. He shook Dhritarashtra. And what happened? Fortunately, Dhritarashtra took responsibility of. Vidura spoke, but ultimately Dhritarashtra had to take responsibility. And Prabhupada writes there. He said, unfortunately, there are many Dhritarashtras. And we need Viduras. But sometimes what happens? Dhritarashtra himself thinks that I am a Vidura. We have a Dhritarashtra syndrome, but we think we are Viduras. We are always Vidura for others. We are always Vidura for others. But our own Dhritarashtra continues to be very strong, very determined to stay there only. Recently one devotee made a very nice point. He said, people only tell what they are good at. But they never fail to recognize. They do not recognize that actually I am not good at here. They don't withdraw in somewhere where they are not good at. One of the very interesting principles in community is that one thing is to do what you are good at. But better than that is actually withdrawing from where you are not good at. Another mistake we do, because I am good in this. Like if you see Gopis of Vrindavan, they were such a great devotee, but you don't find them becoming a temple president. They don't become Gram Panchayat chairman of Nandagram. No, the Gopis didn't say, since we are very closest to Krishna, therefore all the village possession we need to have. They continue to remain what they were. Ordinary in regards to social status, in regards to their profession, in regards to their position, they remain what they were. Therefore, being good devotee doesn't mean that competent in management. Just because somebody is sincere doesn't mean that they are expert. Devotional credibility is not synonymous to material expertise. Not necessarily. It could be, but not necessarily. So therefore, that separating in regards to management and leadership is very important. Which Dhritarashtra did not know. He thought that because Duryodhana is my son, And because I was not made the king, therefore that is Duryodhana's qualification. Injustice to me is the qualification of Duryodhana. It was not that Yudhishthira Maharaj was king biologically, but he was qualified. There was a precedent in Pandavas that unqualified person was removed and qualified person was made king. Fortunately, what happened with Yudhishthira Maharaj? He was qualified, plus he was also biologically, legally, shastrically, culturally was supposed to inherit the kingdom. And Duryodhana was not at all supposed to inherit the kingdom. And many people write about this. Oh, because Dhritarashtra was not made king, it was but natural that Duryodhana was supposed to be king. No. He doesn't qualify to be the king. He did not had the qualification to be the king. But Dhritarashtra felt, I was mistreated, therefore that is the qualification of my son. Just see, how this kind of things do happen. And then what happens that when something is wrong, it only creates wrong precedent. Creates wrong precedent. And that's what happened with the Kauravas. They were feeling injustice happened to us, but injustice did not happen to them. Like I tell this story, there is a blind school near Pune. And when some devotees had gone there to see how do they operate, these blind children, they are so good in making, wax sculptures. So when devotees saw that, when they got to know they have made this, they made Shivaji Maharaj, Gandhi and other, they said, how could you make this? You don't have eyes. They said, we have eyes. Sense of touch. Their sense of touch has become so sensitive, by touching some other statue, they feel, okay, this should be like this, and then they do like that. And they had made beautiful candles also. And some people asked them, why are you making candles when you can't see? They said, we can't see, but we are making for those who can see, but when there is no electricity, at least they can use this candle. So that we feel that, we are doing something good. And they made a very interesting point. He said, we don't look for charity, we don't look for sympathy, but we look for opportunity. So they were born blind, but they found a way to empower themselves. On the other hand, Dhritarashtra, just change of statements. Dhritarashtra could have said, I am born blind but in royal family. But what he did? He said, I am born in royal family but blind. Just see how one statement can create complete difference in consciousness. I am born blind but in royal family. So fortunate. But he chose it other way around. He said, I am born in royal family but blind. So throughout his life, he victimized himself. And people who are victimized, they always look for sympathy. And even if we get justice, but if we continue to remain victimized, justice does not empower us. Because justice still has a chance of feeling that I was victimized and I was supposed to get this due. Justice, I got it. Therefore, what Gita teaches is, beyond justice there is empowerment. Which Pandavas did, which Yudhishthira Maharaj did, which Arjuna did. They empowered themselves, they grew in life. And when the time came to realize that, okay, now we have to withdraw. They were able to withdraw themselves. And therefore we see people like Jambavan, people like Hanuman, people like Pandavas. The best part is Jambavan. I always tell this story, when the monkeys, all the Vanaras, were not able to jump. They were all discussing, I can jump 10 yojanas, I can jump 20 yojanas, I can jump 30 yojanas, but that to jump 100 yojanas. Angad said, I can jump 100 yojanas, but I don't have guarantee of coming back. So Jambavan said, no, you are not going because you are our leader, we can't allow you to go. And Jambavan said, just as an information, you know what he said, when I was young, I could actually go around. Vamandev, who had become Trivikram, but now I become old, I cannot do anything. But he looked towards Hanumanji. There was a chance for all of them to go unsuccessful equally. Everybody is unsuccessful. So therefore, nobody will blame you. 100 people had gone and everybody became unsuccessful. So now what happened? 99 will be unsuccessful, and if Jambavan reminds, so Hanumanji can do, all the credit will go to Hanumanji. Right? Very interesting. He could have said, why should I tell? Nobody comes to know. Ram doesn't come to know only. We can go and tell him, we went, we looked for this place, but we were told also, but we were all monkeys, we couldn't jump across. We have come back. Sorry, Ram. No, take sannyas. No. But Hanumanji, Jambavan went and actually reminded Hanumanji. And Hanumanji woke up to reality. He jumped across. He brought the message. They came to Lord Ram. And you don't find Hanumanji telling Ram about Jambavan inspiring him. Neither Ram neither Ram giving any credit to Jambavan. It is not that Hanumanji didn't want to do it. But you have to understand the whole euphoria of finding Sita and getting the mercy of Lord Ram. He was so much, he forgot himself. Not that Hanumanji was pride, he wanted to show off. We have to understand, and Jambavan did not say, Arey, it was such a huge politics against me. Ram did not give me any credit, and worst is Hanumanji never gave me any credit. Henceforward, I am not going to serve the mission of Lord Ram. I resign. I served him so many years. Kuch credit nahi mila mujhe. It doesn't stop there. In the battle of Ram Ravan, now Shakti weapon makes Ram and Lakshman unconscious. Entire army has fallen unconscious. Of course, those who are immortal, now Ram has taken the form of human being, who is not. Therefore, he acts as a human being, he falls unconscious. So Jambavan is awake, Vibhishan is awake. And Vibhishan he asked Jambavan, how are Ram and Lakshman doing? And Jambavan says, don't worry about them. He said, is Hanumanji okay? Is Hanumanji okay? Vibhishan said, my dear Jambavan, why are you asking about Hanumanji? He said, if Hanumanji is living, everybody will be living. So Jambavan didn't say, Girne do usko, let him fall unconscious. I had told him and he didn't do anything to me. I'm not going to tell Hanumanji. Jambavan, so selfless. Right. And Hanumanji is already up. Then he goes, brings the herb, revives Ram and Lakshman, revives the entire army. And who gets all the credit? Hanumanji gets the credit. So Jambavan represents the teacher. A teacher makes Hanumanji, never competes with his own student. Nowadays everybody wants Jambavan, everybody wants Hanumanji, but there are no Jambavans only. In schools where we go, people say, teachers are not good. Who is saying that? Who is saying that? People who want their children to be taught nicely, but nobody wants to be teacher. Nobody wants to be Jambavan. Everybody wants to be Hanuman. And that very Hanumanji during the Kurukshetra battle, can you imagine? He fought such a huge war. He killed so many demons. Now he is sitting only as a sign on a flag. For him, Kurukshetra war was like a, IPL match, Ranji Trophy. Not a main international match. What are these demons? They are insignificant compared to Ravan, Kumbhakarna, and then Indrajit. It was easy for Hanumanji. But Hanumanji becomes irrelevant. By becoming irrelevant, he becomes irrelevant. So that is real sannyas. Right, okay, my time is up. I am not going to play active role. Let Pandavas play active role. And the very Pandavas following the same principle, when Parikshit Maharaj is ready, they decide to be irrelevant. Therefore, becoming irrelevant is very important principle in life. That means actually respecting the power of Kala. And that is what Krishna speaks. And that is what Vidura had to jerk Dhritarashtra and shake him and woke him up. And then Dhritarashtra decided to walk in the forest along with Vidura, Gandhari and Kunti. And even after that, Yudhishthira Maharaj felt he was being cheated, that all his superiors have gone away. He continued to practice his path. He didn't say, 18 years I made him sit. Rascal, now he learned his lesson. He didn't say that. As a younger person, Yudhishthira Maharaj was waiting for some superior person to give that instruction to his uncle, and he got it. Vidura went, and Prabhupada writes in the Bhagavatam that Dhritarashtra did not become Narottam, but at least he became Dhira. He transcended the dualities of life and became like almost on the platform of na sochati na kankshati. But because of his offenses, he did not become Narottam. But because he was connected to Vidura, still it was a great advantages for him, because Vidura was one of the greatest devotee. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Any questions or comment?
Hare Krishna. So you talked about dilemmas that we face every day. So sometimes the dilemma is what we call as Dharma Sankat. We have, two dharmas conflicting with each other. And you also mentioned the example of Bharat choosing the higher dharma of protecting the citizens. But as for family holders, for common people like us, what is the priority of dharma? Because we don't know which dharma is higher. So what happens is usually it's a conflict. And many times, at least I end up not taking any decision or taking a bad decision because we don't know which dharma is higher. So is there any... So is there any scriptural guidance on what is like the hierarchy of dharma, saying that
there is no such manual. Guidebook is not there. In India, we are conditioned to, rather than reading the textbook, people read guidebook. So therefore, what Gita teaches principle. Gita is not law book. Gita is a book of principle. Gita is a book of inspiration. Rather than giving, systematically, okay, if this happens, do like this. Because every situation, like in Ayurveda, that symptoms may be the same. The same symptoms are there. This person, this person, this person. But the Prakriti is different. Therefore, an expert Ayurvedic doctor will not give the same medicine for the same disease. That is the difference. Therefore, Ayurvedic medicine was never globalized. It was always localized. Because you treat person to person. Because every person is different. Similarly, textbooks. In Gurukul, why there was no textbook? Because textbook is extremely, it's very artificially uniformative. Right. So therefore we see where people emphasize on one or two subjects. This is the important subject. No, that is important subject for those who are potentially good in that subject. I see that, the number of children who actually get into engineering and medicine, the number is less. But the school always promote their names. They never they don't talk about those children who became depressed because of that. In Bombay, almost like 500,000 kids go for cricket coaching classes. Not everyone who is not educated becomes Sachin Tendulkar. In becoming Sachin Tendulkar, they give up their education. Neither they become cricketer nor become cricket bat seller. We have one lady who comes to our school for giving career counsel. So she said, sports and acting is not considered as a career. Because there is no guarantee you make there. It's a gambling. So therefore, in Dharma Sankata, the principle of Dharma Sankata, everybody has a unique situation. And a unique situation when it comes, you don't have anybody around you. It's like you are playing. Dharma Sankata is basically when you are playing on the field. Your coach has trained you. When you are facing a fast bowler, we will understand the cricket example very easily. So when you are facing a fast bowler, you can't ask the coach, "Abhi kya karu?" You are facing the ball. It's a googly. Right. So what do you do with that? You are trained. How much time do you have to leave behind the wicket, flick it, cut it, square drive it? I will not go into all the details. So one may see from distance, "Arey, what? Tukka lage to maro, lag gaya to lag gaya." No. An expert batsman, even though it appears that he's just striking it without actually putting any efforts, but is conscious. Even in that moment also, he knows what to do. So similarly, the whole concept of Dharma Sankata, as we understand, we are aware of that, then we are trained. You get out also sometime. But the playing concept doesn't stop. You get to play again. And I was giving this example to some children. All of us, we have played snake and ladder, Saap Chedi, right? You have played? How many times you went to 100 without coming down? Does it happen? Nobody, at least I told so many kids about this. How many have you done? Nobody said, "Prabhuji, not even once. At least one time in my life I went to 100 without coming even once towards the snake." At least I didn't. I played so many times. I never saw anybody do that. At least once they had to come down. So therefore, you only have the choice of throwing the dice. And if you come down, you don't commit suicide. You don't become depressed case. You don't go to a psychiatrist. "Arey, dawa de do." So actually these games were designed to teach us that life is like a Saap Chedi only. You keep throwing. Sometime you encounter snake. Sometime you can encounter ladder. So what decision you take, you only have control over decision, but you don't have a control over consequences. So therefore, dharmic decision means what? Sadhana is there, swadhyaya is there, proper guidance is there. So that makes us mature. And then the time factor. And there is a greater chance. Out of 10, at least 7 decisions will be right. But to expect that all my decision will always be right is questioning the whole concept of humanness. Human is made of 4 defects. Therefore, to expect perfection from a human being is not possible. So in event, out of 10 also you are able to make 6, 7 important decisions. 7 insignificant decisions are good, but one decision which is significant, we make mistake. Like Gandhari, she is called as dharmic, but one decision in her life, only one decision. What was it? She struck her belly. She struck her belly after hearing that Yudhishthira Maharaj is already born. When she got to know that Yudhishthira already born, that my son is no more elder to Yudhishthira, that means the chance of my son becoming the king is lost. So in that desperation, she became envious and struck her belly. And that was the seed of the entire Kurukul's envy, Garbhadan Sanskar. Somebody said 90% of the sanskaras come in Garbha only. So, one mistake. And what kind of mistake? It is not that Krishna does not forgive our mistake, but the impact of the mistake still remains. Kunti was curious to know how this benediction works, and she called for Surya. Why? Because Surya is visible. She was only 13-year-old girl. She didn't think about Agni, Vayu. I don't think she even knew about it. Surya is visible. So she called upon Surya. And what happened? That curiosity brought her Karna. And lifetime pain. Now Kunti, Krishna's very dear devotee. You think Krishna will not forgive her? Already forgive her. But the point is, if you put your finger in the fire while chanting Hare Krishna, the scar remains for the rest of your life. You don't say, did Krishna not forgive me? He forgave, but the scar will remain. The impact is there. He does not change the laws of nature. So therefore, what Shastra is saying, even if you make, not that you want to make mistake, but even if the mistakes do happen, life is not over. People do make disastrous decisions in life. Big disasters. But to think that, my life is over now, I can't do anything, that is the greatest wrong assumptions. Every decision, even if you lose the final World Cup match because of your stupidity, still next World Cup comes there. Even if you squander this human form of life, this lifetime, according to our Vedic literature, we should not. But even if you squander, you don't have to feel disgusted and lose all hope. Another chance will come. So that giving chance, Krishna, how does he deal with this? He says, Manushyanam sahasreshu. But he also says, Baho jnana tapasa. Both are there. That it is very rare to get human form of life. But he also says, many people in the past, it is rare but accessible. So he balances the both. So we should be serious, but not at the cost of losing all hope if we fail. Because we are going to fail. We are humans. We will make mistakes. But mistakes are not destinations. Mistakes are part of journey. When hell is not destination in the scriptures, hell is simply a reformation. It's cell number 365. But you don't stay there forever. Hare Krishna. We'll stop. Last question.
Yesterday you talked about the impact of our communication with kids. So one, maybe I need some advice is, sometimes a kid has, especially my kids, my son probably, if he has something, like say writing or something, it's not right. The fact that I am saying whatever you are doing is not right, is I am putting some doubts in his ability, or how should I even approach in communicating?
So there is a difference between disciplining and branding them. We don't discipline, we brand children. If you carefully watch, we don't discipline. It's a repeated mistake people do. We brand. You are lazy, that is branding. You are useless, that is branding. You are hopeless, that is branding. It is not discipline. So therefore, rather than disciplining, when branding becomes our habit, then they start believing in that. Observe all of our behavior. We branded others, and our parents branded us also. Consciously or unconsciously, we are unconsciously with good intention branding, but we don't realize that becomes the belief system. So many stories like that. Therefore, nobody in Shastra does not say that you should not discipline. But disciplining should not be, taken as branding children. You just observe words, what words you use. You're not going to do anything in life. Some mother, they say, ghar pe shatru aa gaya. And they become shatru, because that's what the mother believes. Right. So therefore, if we observe our words, with whomever we are talking about, most of the time we brand people. In an adult relationship also. Right. When there is a conflict between husband and wife, when there is a conflict between the two brothers, when there is a conflict between, people question basically intention rather than action. Oh, he is political only. Arey, how did you come to know? When you became Paramatma? Recently some devotee made a mistake and then he begged forgiveness. And he's saying, your forgiveness is not very sincere one. Arey? How is that you are questioning that sincerity? You can say repeatedly, if somebody makes the mistake, then you can say, he has done this mistake 15 times. Not once, not twice, not thrice. Then you replace them from that service. rather than branding them. You said 15 times you made a mistake, therefore you don't qualify to be engaged in this seva, do something else. But we question people's intention, that is very bad. And especially intentions are questioned, unfortunately, by the people who have, religious people are the one who question people's intention the maximum. When it comes to their turn, they said, it's only my intentions are clean. Your intentions are clean and others' intentions are all bad. You don't give any benefit of doubt to them. Therefore, it is explained, magnanimity is not giving only charity. Magnanimity is also having sympathy towards others' intention. This is one of the biggest trouble, and every temple goes through this. People, rather than dealing with this action, they question intention. And once you question intention, then what can you do? The same thing with the children, it happens with adults also. It happens with big people also. People question intentions. So therefore, the first thing is, do not ever brand children. In fact, anybody, don't brand them. Branding means you are actually killing them half. You deal with the situation rather than branding them. The child is rebellious in the class. Why? Why is she rebellious? There is a different way for seeking attention. Maybe. Could be like that. But to call it, this child hates me in my class, the teacher sometimes say like that. That this child doesn't like me only. The child should be saying, that small child, this teacher doesn't like me. But the parents have to say, no, not that they don't like you. So therefore, just if we actually analyze, this is my observation dealing with children, then most of the time parent, teachers and others brand. They actually conclude with the intentions, and that then you broke the relationship. Do not question people's intention, because you are not Paramatma. I am not Paramatma. And that is Mayavad. Mayavad is not simply a philosophy, it's an attitude also. Therefore, somebody said Vaishnava is not a noun, it's a verb. Vaishnava संज्ञा नहीं है, परंतु क्रियापद है. It's not a noun, it's not a name, it's a journey. So similarly, every child has their journey. So branding children is the greatest crime, because they have life, to grow. And most of the time, in the name of discipline, repeated branding happens. Think about it. And you'll realize, oh my God, we branded them, and they start believing in it. Hare Krishna. We'll stop here. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.